Check, check. Is microphone on? What's up, my friends? Welcome to Max Afterburner channel. You're probably asking yourself, why is Ryan rocking this flight suit today? Well, it's going to be a special episode today. Today is going to be me flying the F-16 in DCS for the first time. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a Chinese spy balloon scenario where I'm going to rage up there in the F-16 and I'm going to show you what I would do to spear this thing with an AIM-9. And I'm using some of the same tactics that I saw the F-22s use recently off the coast of South Carolina when they shot this thing down with an AIM-9 that is a heat-seeking weapon, or a light-seeking weapon, as we'll talk about, without a warhead, and it basically speared through that balloon. So it's gonna be a good time if I don't say so myself. So stay to the very end of the video, because at the end I'll give you some breakdowns, just some debriefs on some of the epic maneuvers that I saw the F-22s do, what they were doing, why I'm going to do things a little bit different as I'm up there in this Viper raging around. Also, just of note, I'm rocking this flight suit for the first time. Might make it a normal thing. Let me know if you like it below. And you know, I got to break the rules a little bit. I got to be a little bit of a rebel. I can't have the zipper up to here. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Please don't ground me, Dad. Please don't ground me. I've also blacked out the number 2 for now. I'll probably end up removing that just because I'm not the current Thunderbird number 2. I was at one point in my life. But as a tip of the hat to him or her who is the current one, I don't want to be sitting here advertising like I am Thunderbird 2, because that was a past life. That was long ago, but now I am just a dude on YouTube who's going to rage around in an F-16 and spear a balloon. With that said, let's dive in. Check, 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 check. I always go with the check just because it sounds cooler than test. So here we are. We're inside the Viper. This is going to be my first flight in DCS. And again, we're kind of recreating the balloon intercept scenario. Now, that's obviously a lot slower. What I was able to replicate it with was some Su-27s. So I'm going to talk you through what an intercept would look like, what those Raptors did as they're going out there in a mutually supportive wall. I'm sure they would have rather been fighting against Su-27s. Would have been much more of a challenge. So wish me luck. It's been a little bit since I've ran a radar and that kind of thing, so we'll see how that goes. Most likely, in this scenario, I'm going to fire off some AIM-120s, which are AMRAAMs, instead of waiting for the range of the AIM-9X. If it was, in fact, the balloon, the AIM-9X is going to work just fine. You have to be closer, obviously, to shoot the AIM-9X. And again, the AIM-9X is going to look for differences in light, not just differences in heat. It can be the same thing from time to time, but that's why in the balloon shoot down scenario, they're going to use the AIM-9X. But again, I don't want to get too close to these Su-27s, so don't judge me for launching some AMRAAMs at these things. I'm going to try to shoot down both of them and then go out. We'll see how that works. I might end up shooting down one and then going out after that. We'll see how it all comes together, but as we go through this, I'm going to talk you through what I would be saying and what AWACS would be telling me. So here we are. We're in the Viper. Home sweet home. Feels good, and now we've got 2 enemy aircraft somewhere out there. So I'm going to scroll my radar out to an 80 scope, and I'm at 330 knots, 21,000 feet. I'm just going to go, for right now, I'm going to go into Afterburner and just try to get some altitude and some airspeed. Altitude is life, speed is life. All right. As I'm sitting here looking at the radar, I see a red Dorito on the right side of the radar, so I'm going to start turning towards that. Again, keeping my speed up. I don't want to be any slower than 350 right now, because I know I'm going to have to end up committing on these aircraft. I'm showing 20,000 feet, and that's called a red Dorito. That's going to come from AWACS. So most likely those Raptors didn't need an AWACS as they're up there, because their sensors are so good. But I'm replicating this with a Viper with an F-16, which is going to have the similar bubble canopy look and a HUD. The F-22 is going to have a HUD, which is interesting. So as we're getting closer, you can see my radar is currently at a -4 to 52,000 feet, and this little Dorito is just getting closer and closer. So I'm going to keep some offset from it, maybe even a little more back to the left. So I'm kind of stiff-arming it. I'm kind of giving it the Heisman, keeping it off to the side, and I'm going to start locking this thing up to see if I can just kind of hold the lock throughout this intercept. What'll happen if I get a good lock, like I just did, it should range down for me automatically. The radar should. But if it didn't, then what I would want to do is I would want to scroll down to keep the bandits on the first half of the scope. So right now my wingman off to my right 3 o'clock, so I'd be checking over there, making sure my wingman's looking good. We're in this mutually supportive situation, just so we can back each other up, just like you'd want to if your radar dropped lock, which it just did. So my radar dropped lock. That could happen for a lot of different reasons. I'm looking at my situational display here. The bandit's actually turning in towards me, so its aspect is across my nose. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it to the other side of my scope. just to maintain some sort of offset on this thing. So there we go, 23,000 feet. It's kind of right down the snot locker right now. I'm going to get a lock, or try to, as I'm continuing to turn and stiff arm it again. All right, so there we go. Got a good lock on this thing. I'm going to go ahead and go to air mode real quick. So air mode, yep, I've got AIM 120s queued up, ready to go. I'm committing now, so I'm in max afterburner. I'm super slow, so that was bad on me, getting that slow. I'm hoping that this Warthog HOTAS is actually going into afterburner. I might have to figure out if it is or not. But as you can see, I'm continuing to pull it across. And now I've got a good ring with a circle in the middle for the AMRAM. So I'm going to pull up a little bit, give it a little bit of a loft. And since I know they're hostile, I'm getting a good call out. This is exactly what the F-22 pilot's going to do with that AIM-9. So let's go ahead and get an AIM 120. Good night and good luck dealing with that AIM 120. So we got one AIM 120 headed towards that Su-27. And now I'm just concerned about locking up the other one because I know that there's two out there. So I'm going to go back to my radar scope if I can. Okay, they've got a missile launch on me now. And we're about 20 miles. I'm actually going to go out. So I'm basically going to do an aggressive turn away from them. And I'm going to start making my way out of here. Because I don't want to trade shots with this Su-27. I got better things to do. Tell my wingman right now. I'll say my call sign's Frank. That's what the F-22 call signs were. Frank outright. Frank flight outright. So let's say they were flying. Some crazy scenario happened where there was some sort of weapon that flew off of that balloon, which, hey, you never know. All right, now I'm getting a call out from AWACS that one MiG-25 destroyed. So they're going to say splash 1. And now I'm thinking that bandit's within 20 miles. I have no more flashing signals that I have a missile coming inbound. I'm going to go to guns, if I can figure out guns. All right, there's my gun situation. Now I'm adjusting my radar to be 10 to, I remember it was at 20,000 feet. That was the last call. So AWACS is going to tell me the exact altitude. Now I've got my radar set from 14 to 24. And I'm going to say Frank hot left. Now, let's say that balloon is, aggressively shooting something at me. There's some sort of directed energy weapon or something like that. This is exactly what I'm going to do in that situation. But now I'm going to make an aggressive turn back in, which is called turning hot. And we got a spike right now, 5 o'clock. So I'm continuing to turn and I'm just waiting for that lock to happen. I've got two AIM-9Xs called up. Wish me luck. At this point, it's all about having good AWACS support and making sure your radar is set correctly. So it might be a little bit higher for the radar. All right, they should be off my nose now according to the spike. There we go. I got a good lock. I got the AIM-9X pulled up. I'm going to uncage it, fire it off. Okay, there goes an AIM-9X. And since he's so close, he's right down the snot locker. He's got a missile off as well. I'm going to shoot a second one, and now I'm waiting for a missile defense. So that damn balloon's shooting missiles at me. Now I'm looking off my left. Ah, damn. See, let's see if we get a kill on him as well. I'm thinking we will get a kill on him as well, but as you guys can see, it's dangerous when you turn back in. So in the situation with the Chinese spy balloon, obviously that thing's not shooting any missiles at anybody. Keeping in mind all the different things that happened during a dogfight is kind of what I wanted to bring into us during my first time flying the Viper in DCS. I want to talk a little bit about the Chinese spy balloon shooting that thing down. And when it comes to that thing, you think of the AIM-9 as being a weapon that they wouldn't choose, but it just shows that it works really well. The AIM-9's come a long way. Actually, when I was flying the F-15E, right after I became mission qualified, they came back from Afghanistan, and one of the pilots there had shot down a Predator that went lost link with just a regular AIM-9 mic, not the AIM-9X. And that AIM-9 mic actually didn't damage it enough to make it crash. So it actually hit it, and then that thing kept flying for another like 6 miles or something like that. Two F-22 pilots are going to be pulling it up into the cons. You can see the cons coming off their jet. They're going to get a first launch opportunity depending on when they get into a WES. So as soon as they hit the WES of the AIM-9, they're going to fire that thing off, which happens. And my assumption is the other wingman was ready with an AMRAM ready to go, in case they, with their sensors, they see like, hey, the AIM-9, for whatever reason it missed. It obviously just speared the balloon just perfectly, but if it would have missed, then they would have followed up with an AMRAM is what I think. And that's what they were doing in the Predator scenario that I told you about a second ago. Comment below if you enjoyed this video, if you want more of this. The best compliment you can give me is just to watch another one of these videos, and let me know if you like my flight suit and the fact that it's painted on to my body essentially. Thanks for being here, guys. Really just awesome, really fun to just fly with you all. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.